Okay, got to do that. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the October 22nd, 2023. Let's name that question and answer. Sponsored by HISAdvocates. My name is Kelby Smith. I want to thank you guys for coming on. Let me turn that on. I should have did that after I went the custom live streaming, huh? Okay, so we're live streaming. Anyway, that was for you, Mel. That was a private introduction for Mel, who's hanging out here on the Zoom side of our live stream event on YouTube, and eventually in about 2 weeks we will be back out live on Roku, Amazon Fire, Android TV, Google TV, Apple TV, all Samsung TVs, all LG TVs. And as of this morning, I just met the CEO of Vizio, another 80 million TVs. So we're just that we get the data and the information out, which is largely what this Q&A is designed for. We've answered 1,800 questions. Hundreds of them are posted on our YouTube account. Hundreds of them are posted on HISadvocates.tv. It's an app on your phone. You can download HISadvocates.tv. Hundreds of them are actually, all of them are posted on HISadvocates.org. So you are able to go into and get the questions answered. Well, what about my employment? What do I tell them? How do I tell them to stop taking taxes out? And that's one of the things I just want to start with tonight, because it's one of the big questions that people ask, and I answer it all the time. And it's almost one of those things where when they get the answer, they're like, shut up, it can't be that easy. And the answer is yes, it can be. So we've always heard that the IRS has, never been, we're already doing that. We've always heard that the IRS has never been allowed or lawfully allowed to do what they do. And they're not. There's no law that supports them. Title 26 is not what people think it is. And what they do is contract with people, and the people fail to meet the guidelines of the agreements. And in doing so, you can receive a charge instrument, because that's what you volunteered yourself to be. You've signed a W-4, you've signed an I-9, you've signed a W-9, whatever it is. And you volunteered yourself into this system. As a matter of fact, the Congress of the United States has already said the IRS is a voluntary system. And people don't think that, because the black suits show up or whoever, and they take your stuff, and they take your bank accounts, your cars, your homes, and all that stuff. And in our ministry, we believe in wholeheartedly that the federal government is absolutely out of control. When your borders are open and people can come across at a fighting age and declare war like they are across the world, it's kind of scary that we're supporting them. It's scary that we're supporting all of the missing trillions. I think it's 38 trillion now with the Pentagon. And so my personal position is I do not support things that I don't believe in. And just because somebody thinks that I am a United States citizen, which I am not, I'm a citizen of the United States of America, and that's rightly defined in law. And a citizen of the United States of America is not the same as the citizen of the United States. And that's a big pill for people to swallow. I've got like 100+ Supreme Court rulings. And in the next few weeks, I'm going to be releasing on a video for people to take a look at, gander at, get a feel for, and go, holy cow, they're going to be shepherdized, which means still active law today. Still active law today. That a United States citizen is not the same as a state citizen. That a state citizen cannot be a taxpayer. Things like that. Supreme Court rulings. So 2 things. Guess what? You don't need to be a state citizen to stop paying taxes. Now, is that nice, Kelby, or what? Is that truthful, Kelby, or what? Yeah, it is. And then I'm just saying, because there is an action within the IRS code, and it's called revocation of election. And people do not know about this because they're not going to advertise this. But what this allows for you to is revoke your election to pay taxes. So there's a few tricks that they play. Number one, they still have you as under their jurisdiction because you've signed on to being a US citizen and you're not necessarily under the jurisdiction of an American. And so, or which is a state citizen. And so you obviously you want to put on layers of Kevlar on your vests and keep putting on more layers of Kevlar and keep building your protection. So you want to be a state citizen. You want to be outside of the jurisdiction of the United States corporation. You don't want to comply with any of the rules under the IRS code. You just want to be released of that because you want to cancel your contract. These are all corporations, guys. And you can cancel an agreement at any time you want. And this is just something that people are like, what? How? What about your obligation to pay taxes, Kelby? I actually have a higher obligation to God. Number one. Number two, they're not being forthcoming on the taxes. Number three, they're all of them are ripping off the nation like you wouldn't believe and lining up their own pockets like you wouldn't believe. And there's no accountability. There's $2 trillion annualized that goes into black ops accounts. So as a fiduciary and responsible party and one of God's witnesses, one of God's sons, I am not going to be a party to putting capital into a structural system that is evil at its core. Not everybody in the United States is evil. Don't pull that one. But the large portion of the people running the show just seem to be a little weird and not doing things in accordance to the law or to the rules. By the way, the Russian ambassador at the United Nations last week said, we all know that Donald Trump is the lawfully elected. We know, we saw the votes, meaning we are our goulash, KGB knows what really happened. And that's very telling, isn't it? So who cares? I'm not one of those guys that say Donald Trump was lawfully elected. I'm not one of those January 6ers, but I'm just a guy that speaks the truth as much as possible. And if I don't absolutely know, and if I haven't been able to validate and verify, and I can't validate and verify 250 million or whatever votes, but I can say there's a lot of odd things going on there. And I just don't want to be a party to it. So we do a few extra things within the living and the private that are required so that the IRS can't sign your name for you. Because you don't understand you gave that right up. So they will file returns for you. They will still do things to set off more debt, pull money off your treasury bond account and get paid, which is really what it, and that's not a misnomer. That's not a lie or a conspiracy. That's a fact. And there is actually a treasury direct account. There's many people that are trying to go and get access to those funds. I don't play that game personally. I'm called to come out of her, my people, in Revelations 18:4. A lot of that is blood money. It wasn't earned on me. It was earned on my birth certificate. And that birth certificate belongs to them. And people don't understand what they've done and how they failed. And if you're going to do anything like that, you need to quiet the title on the BC, become the primary holder of the BC as a beneficial interest. Then you can go set up your TD account. And so, but the bottom line is, I still don't want to do any of that. I still want to be completely out. I want to honor my father, meaning God. And I don't want to pledge anything to those things. So you got to do a revocation of election. You got to revoke your signatures that you've ever done with the IRS. And then you got to do a notice of status. And so there's a total of 9 letters that we do with the IRS, just them alone, for people that are coming through the living in the private program. So I want you to take that into consideration. We have a few questions that I'm going to start with tonight. And that as an opener, you're going to hear me start and stop the recording